What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be bringing you a Kodai Essentials guide and overview. So yeah, let's get started right here on the homepage. So this is where you will be when you open up Essentials. Unless it's your first time, then you'll enter your key and then you'll end up on this screen. So over here is the announcements. It'll just show like any important stuff, but it's not used that much. And then changelog over here is after the updates, you can read what's new about each update. Up here it says latest version for me, but if there's an update, then it'll say click to update when you open it. So all you have to do is click it and then it'll just automatically update for you, and then you should be good. So down here we have the live memory and CPU used. You can change it to today or past week, past month, and it'll just show you whatever you used and just the general stats for it. Over here it'll clear all the stats, and then you can deactivate your key over here to move it onto another device or onto a server. And then this other stuff I don't really worry about too much. Over here you can renew your key, so you just click renew and then it'll show you like you can just enter your card information, and then you can enter a code if you have one, and then you just renew. And so this is for automatic, and if you want to renew manually, which is every month, then you select this and then just enter your information, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the homepage. Alright, so next up is going to be the Captcha part of Essentials, which is the Gmail farmer. This is the primary purpose of Essentials. It'll train your Gmails. So you want to make sure you have the right settings and know how to set up this part. So in my general settings, I like to use these settings because I've had pretty good success with them. Stop farming once good, that just stops it when it's done. And then send webhook when done is it'll send you a webhook to your Discord when it stops farming. I like to set my time between each check to 120, but you can have anywhere from 90 to 120. That's what the mods recommend and the developer. You don't want to have it too low so it doesn't check too much, but if you have it too high, then it can also like not know when to stop farming and it won't check enough. But it shouldn't really matter too much, just don't have it too low. So webhook URL, that's just your Discord or Slack webhook, whatever you use. Sleep at night is, I check it because I run it a lot, and sometimes if I run it overnight, then it'll sleep for me automatically so it looks more human. And then custom time zone, you just set the time zone to sleep, so I just use my local time. And then max concurrently running, that's how many farming tasks you want at the same time running. So you can have this like anywhere, whatever your computer can handle. And then show account proxy and webhook, that just when it's done farming, it'll show you what proxy it used to farm. And then this is a new feature, which is enable modern browser. I have it on because it did pretty well for me when I tried it, and it brought my Gmails to green pretty fast. So yeah, I like to keep this on, but make sure if you have it on, you don't switch out of it, and you at least farm on it for a few weeks, and you don't switch back and forth having this on and off, because it can hurt your scores. So next up is going to be this bar down here where you can control your Gmails. So you can add accounts right here. You just use this format over here, but sometimes you have to double check that the proxy's right. If the proxy's wrong, then you can just edit the task and then change the proxy and save it, and it usually works. You can import accounts. There's a spreadsheet from the Discord, and then you can also test your one-clicks. So if I check this and test for my one-click, then I can select which Captcha type. So usually it'd be V2 because V3 automatically checks for you. I'm not going to do it right now, but if you want to do it, then it'll just automatically test and show you if it failed, like this one. And then export accounts, you just select the accounts you want to export and it'll make a file. Assign account group is pretty useful if you have a lot of accounts. So I have like a V2 one, and then I have like a Yeezy Supply one because some of my proxies don't work on Yeezy Supply. So you just check it, assign an account group, and then you select which one. And you can also create account groups up here. Select all accounts, just selects all of them, and you can start, stop, delete, by selecting all of them. And yep. And then clear cache. Basically, you just select the ones you want to clear. It'll free up space on your computer, and it'll use less memory and CPU if it's really high. So this can be helpful if your computer's getting laggy or getting slow, but it doesn't hurt your Gmails. It won't do anything to your Gmails. It'll just clear the memory. Change password is also a new feature, so you just got to select the accounts you want to clear or change, and then you just click this, enter the password, and continue. This can take a long time, so be mindful of that, but this is pretty useful if you want to just change all your passwords to the same password. And you can also sort your Gmails. I just like to sort it by one-click score, but there's you can have it alphabetical or just by email or proxy or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Captcha part. Alright, so the next part of Essentials is going to be the profiles. So this is pretty useful if you have a ton of profiles and you have a ton of bots and you just want to manage your profiles. You can create a profile over here and you just enter your information and then create, and you can make a profile name too. And then if you want to export your profiles, you just select the profile you want to export, you export it, select the bot. So let's just say adept, and then you would save it as a file to a certain path, continue, and then you'll just confirm the export, and then you can find it in your files folder and then import it into your bot. So deleting selected profiles, it's pretty self-explanatory. Randomizing profiles just changes up the information. And then assign profile group, that you can make groups of profiles. I don't have any because I don't have a ton of profiles, but you can make them into certain groups like foot sites or Easy Supply or Shopify cards. And then you can also just select all the profiles if you want to export them all. You can import your profiles if you export it from your bot, and you can import it into Essentials. So say over here it says I imported from PD, so I just exported from PD and then imported the file into Essentials. So now I can export all these profiles to whatever bot I have, and then you can also sort your profiles. So next up is going to be the Spoofer. The Spoofer's pretty helpful for sites with queues like Easy Supply or YCMC or something with a queue, and you can just open up a ton of instances and you can manage them all here. So detection method, it'll detect if it passes Splash on Adidas. They currently only have this, they don't have anything else, but this can be pretty helpful if you have a ton for Adidas. And then you can also have a webhook over here to tell you when you passed. So you can create an instance by clicking here or down here. Uncheck this use default URL, and then you can just enter the URL. So say it's Easy Supply, make sure to type the HTTPS and then this stuff, and then you can type Easy Supply, and then you can you can paste your proxies over here. I'm just not going to use any proxies, but you can use one per line, and it'll just make a ton of instances for each proxy, and you can just select how many instances you want. I'm just going to make one for the sake of this video. So create, and then now I can just check this instance and start it. It'll say loading, and then eventually it pops up with the current product on Easy Supply. You can edit the site over here and change the proxy and save. And you can also view the actual browser. So if you click this eye, then it'll view the thing it's spoofing. So right now it's showing me the Azurets that's releasing in a few days, and you can just close it. I'm just going to stop the instance. And then you can also delete all instances. I'm just going to delete this because I'm not using them. And you can also mass change the URL up here. If you got the wrong URL or something and you enter them all wrong, then you can just change all of them. And yeah, so the Spoofer is pretty helpful. I haven't personally used it myself, but I might use it in the future. If it's like a splash page like Easy Supply, you might want to be logged into each of your instances so you can pass Splash, but overall this thing's pretty helpful. Alright, so next up is the generator section of Essentials. So this is pretty important. There's the cookie generator, which many people use, and then there's account generator and proxy generator. I'm just going to go through them one by one. So let's start with the account generator. So you just want to generate accounts. You can pick a site, generate. So let's just say I want to make end clothing accounts, continue, and then make an email address and put your proxies in, and then the number of accounts. And then you just, after this, you just review the accounts, and then it'll show you the accounts you made. I haven't personally used the accounts generator yet, so I'm not too familiar with it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You just enter your email or whatever this stuff is, and then you just can generate your stuff, and then it should tell you the account passwords and emails. So next up is going to be the cookie generator. I use this quite a bit. I sometimes just let it run for hours or just the whole day, and it'll just come back with like thousands of cookies. So you can create cookie tasks. You just select a store. So let's just say champs, and then a proxy group. You can create a proxy group. I'll show you in a second. And then show browser just shows like when it's generating, but if I just leave that unchecked, and you can create a certain amount of tasks, and then just create. So I'm not going to create any tasks, but and then you can manage your proxy groups. So if I want to create a proxy group, I can just say like test, and then just like one, like my proxies on each line. And then you can also manage your groups. This is like my Oculus, and then these are some other random groups, and then you can edit them to change the proxies or delete them. And then selecting all tasks, and you can just start, stop, delete. It's pretty much the same as all of the other ones where you select all the tasks, and then you can also sort them. But right now there's only cookie count, so up here you can see how many cookies you generated in the last minute, hour, or day. But this thing has been kind of glitchy. It kind of just shows the same number for me, but you can just see how many cookies you have down here, and it'll just show you like each one where it says cookies. If it's generating, it'll be a green check mark, but since I'm not running right now, it'll just be red. So if I want to start a task, I can just click over here, and then it'll open up a browser in the background right here, and then it'll just stay on this page, and it'll just start generating for me. So there it goes, and you can just minimize this, and then it'll just start generating in the back, and then you can just stop it like this, and then it'll automatically close. So you can export your cookies, which is pretty much what you want to do from generating them. So say I have like 200 champs cookies, I want to export them. It'll say like, are you sure you want to export? You can't get them back. And then I'll just say like champs, and then let's say I want to export to PD, then I'll just continue, and then I can select the path and then save it as something, and then it'll just make a file for me, and I can import that into PD. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the cookie generator. Let's go on to the proxy generator. This is pretty new. I believe it was here for like 1 or 2 months, but I haven't used this yet. However, it can be helpful because it can reduce your cost on proxies, since you generated them from the private providers itself. So you just enter your key over here if you want to default generate, and then you can also just make like generation by clicking this thing. You just select the provider you have, so let's say AWS. I'll continue, and then enter my API key and secret, and then you can select the location. And then once you do that, you can just review, and then it'll generate for you, and then it'll show you the proxies, and you can also test your proxies. It should tell you, it should be over here in the toolbox. You can test your proxies, just enter the proxies, and then it'll test them for you. You just select the target, and then it'll show you like if it fails or passes. Over here, the Shopify variant fetcher, you just put the link of a product. It'll tell you the variant. And then VCC generator, this is kind of useful if you can make a ton of cards. It only supports privacy right now. I'm hoping it'll add like Capital One or something later, but basically you need a privacy account. But if you're too lazy to generate like 30 cards at once for yourself, then you just log in and then import your spending limit, or not import, you just put your spending limit and then continue, and then it'll just have a giant list of all the cards you generated. So yeah, that's going to be the end of generator and toolbox. Alright, so for this last part of the video, I'm going to go over some common errors that people experience and how you can fix them. So the most common error I see is when you start your Gmail tasks, you sometimes get bad recovery, and it'll say like bad recovery or like failed to log in, bad credentials. That's pretty common, and sometimes it happens to me too, especially after it finishes farming. And the next time I try to start it, it'll just say failed to log in, bad credentials. So to fix this, all you have to do is delete the Gmail, and then you just add it back. And then it might take a while to start, but it should log in fine. If it doesn't work, then you can try just like resting it or logging in manually too. But every time I remove it and add it back, it always just logs in and works for me. Next thing is if it says like bad proxy or bad connection, that means it's probably your proxy. It's probably too slow, or it's expired or something. You can always try starting the task again in case it's just like a few minutes error, but usually you just want to change up your proxy because it's too slow or it doesn't work. So also, next error I see is when generating proxies. Sometimes people test them and they all come back as failed. So sometimes people recommend that you wait a few minutes until testing because they have to like activate or something. But if they don't work, then just maybe try generating new ones or contacting support, because I've seen this quite a bit. However, I haven't used the proxy tester. I haven't used the proxy generator for myself, so I'm not completely sure how it works. But if you have an answer to that, just leave a comment, and yeah, it would be pretty helpful. So that's pretty much it for the Kodai Essentials Guide. If you have any questions or any other errors you're seeing or anything I'm missing, just leave a comment and let me know, and I'll try to fix it, or I'll try to help you with your problem, whatever you're having. Kodai Essentials is a great tool. It's been very good for me for the past 2 months. I've used it for about 2 months, and all my Gmails, as you can see, it revived them from, they were all 0.3s. Now they're all at 0.9 and ready to go. So yeah, just make sure you have the right setup and the right settings. If you have any questions, just ask the Discord or just leave a comment and I'll get back to you, because you don't want to mess up your Gmails. It's better to be safe than sorry. So yeah, thanks for watching. Just be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.